Okay, this is amazing. This is just really, really amazing. So, RazorFist made a video about Abraham Lincoln being a complete and utter tyrant. And this must be the worst video I ever watched. It actually might be worse than the history legends about the Ukraine war. I can't believe I actually witnessed it. I can't believe another YouTuber I used to watch has gone off the deep end again. Like, what is he talking about? Like, what do you mean that? Okay, Atun-Shei, like a guy named Atun-Shei Films would destroy this guy with this stuff, but the lengths this guy goes to try to, like, one of the biggest I find that was so false about it, his idea that it was Abraham Lincoln's fault why they were losing battles in the Eastern Front during the Civil War. Bro, he had nothing to do with the Eastern Front. His generals, McClellan, Burnside, Pope, they all were failures. Failures. Or Joseph Hooker was just unlucky. Like, how is it Lincoln's fault that McClellan was cowardly and left, even though he actually was winning, but he couldn't see it? Why is it his Lincoln's fault that Burnside side went on with a terrible plan that got him destroyed at Fredericksburg? How is it his fault that Pope was an idiot and got himself destroyed at Second Bull's Run? How is it Lincoln's fault that Joseph Hooker got blindsided by Stonewall Jackson's attack in Chancellorsville? Like, what are you talking about? Mismanagement? Well, he wished he could have been, as you might have said. Like, why? And then he's basically talking about the idea that the reason why the war happened isn't because of slavery, even though we all know that the Civil War was because of slavery. I might talk about that later, but because of taxes. Oh yes, because that was the biggest thing that happened. It wasn't because of the fact that the South constantly talked about how they felt friends from the North about taking away their own precious slaves. Like, you do realize that the South said, that many states said, that if Lincoln became president, which he became, they would secede. They friended it. They tried to rig the votes in their states to try to make Steve Douglas win. And when that didn't happen, they seceded. That's what happened. And even though, and he might be like, well, Abraham Lincoln never cared about the slaves. But again, if that is the case, why did the South feel so threatened by him? By your logic, they should not have cared about Lincoln. They should have just went through it normally. But guess what? Normally. But guess what? They felt so threatened for him that they felt the need to secede so they can keep slavery going. Kind of weird, isn't it? And again, isn't it weird that you say that, oh, this is never about slavery and no one ever cared about it? Okay, so why, when the Union started to have black regiments and black soldiers, the moment that happened, the Confederates said that they were gonna kill or enslave all those they capture back. I mean, kind of weird when you're trying to say that, oh, this is not just not about slavery. Oh, what about that time that one Confederate general did suggest they do that, since there was more black people than whites in the South during the war? But then the governors told them immediately to stop that thinking, because, as one of them said, that doing that was going to basically betray the very idea of of their of their war. They said it. Look at Atun-Shei's videos. He can explain them way better than I could. But I'm like, what? How can you say that? And then he called him a dictator. It's like, okay, but how could you wait? But how could Abraham Lincoln be a dictator? Like, are you talking about the powers he had during the war? Well, any, well, what do you call any leader that's during a war a tyrant when they have to do certain things? Like, you know that the secret police wasn't because they wanted to oppress people. No, it was because there was actual spies from sent by the Confederacy, like Confederacy, and like and he's just gonna ignore all the build up and stuff. Because again, if the Civil War was never about slavery, why why did the South South many years after the Civil War ended, after slavery ended, just were so vitriolic against the blacks for daring to be free? Kind of weird. If they wasn't ever about slavery, they would have not cared. I'm just I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But like he basically saying that it was because the South was being overtaxed. Um, I only like wait what? Like again, Atun-Shei talks about this and how bullcrap that very idea is. That very idea is. But that idea that it was basically really about the taxes why they seceded and stuff. It's like that's a bullface lie. Again, go the main of why of that slavery was the main cause of it. Not to mention that the North and Southern states were not getting along very much. Like yes, okay, and then all right. This might be a dribble, but then again, he also mentioned that there was some slavery in the North, even though it might most like he's talking about the border states like Maryland and Kentucky or those places, and or not well Kentucky, but Maryland specifically, and how those places would have slaves, and so slavery was way brutaler than the South. But like the South is brutal but slavery is brutal everywhere. It's not. I don't exactly want to be a. I don't think being a slave in the Caribbean is going to be any better than being a slave in Tennessee, honestly. But I just had to make this because I just had to because this is just getting ridiculous. And everyone in the comments is basically a lost cause. They're celebrating him like, yeah, he's the evil Abraham Lincoln. We all hate Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln. John Brown is evil. Like, we're gonna talk about John Brown, the guy who actually wanted to help the blacks free themselves, free themselves. Oh, I bet you really hate that song of John Brown, eh? Oh, funny. But yeah, this is just terrible. This is just one of the most. That's another terrible video that just burned me. Like I'm a war. I like reading the war's history, causes of it, what happens in it, and stuff. But I know full well that the Civil War was a lot of things, but slavery was the biggest thing about it. Cause take slavery out of the equation. Like if slavery did not exist at all by that time of America, there would have been no Civil War because slavery was an integral part of why it happened. Dred Scott, the border, the bloody the South constantly threatened the secede before the Civil War happened. This stuff did not happen just out of the blue, or they never could have happened if that dastardly Abraham Lincoln came in, like, bro, or and now the last part. He didn't say that in one of those parts that Abraham Lincoln is evil and racist and that he never cared, or that the fact that the Emancipation Act, yeah, that did not help free anyone. Again, I don't think that. Again, like he says, like, well, what about the South? It's like they were literally fighting a civil war. Of course, he made that sort of made that as a stepping stone because that it was going to be, and they would win the war. Like 1863 was the turning point. Gettysburg, Vicksburg, they literally destroyed. They basically cut the Confederacy in half, and Lee would never have been able to invade the North again. Like, and also that idea that they will lose the war again. not exactly true. Like they lost losing many battles in the east, but the western front, the western side, what the Union was dominating there. Shiloh, Vicksburg, the Battle of Mobile Bay, Fort Henry. They basically were crushing the crushing the South in those battles. Like there barely were any defeats other than Chickamauga there. But they had such control of it that Sherman was later on able to rampage through the South through the West. So again, not exactly the case. Like yes, the Union were hurt by the fact that Robert E. was winning so much by 1862, but they weren't losing the war quite yet. Because again, the battle of Antietam happened, and Lee was driven out, out at that point. So again, that whole idea of oh they were losing, but that's not right. But yeah, that's all I have. I just need to write about that because my historical brain was just cringing at that video. Uh, I'm gonna do my usual Men of War videos. I'm still waiting for my new microphone to come out because this new one usually doesn't work with the Men of War thing. But hopefully I can get it. So see you guys next time. See ya.